Hello, this video is about servicing the front brakes on this Islabike. This is my son's Islabike Cnoc, not sure how you say it, 14. These are great bikes, but it's got this weird problem with the front brake. I'll just zoom in. So when you put the front brake on, that happens. You can put it back together, but the same thing happens again. I've tried bending the metal back on this arm a couple of times, and I think there's some metal fatigue in it now because it just keeps bending out and it happens again. So got some Avid single digit 3 arms off eBay. Plenty of them available second hand. They're quite cheap, much more readily available than the Tektro brakes, which is what's on this at the moment. The arms are the same length, so hopefully they're going to be a straight swap. Let's find out. It's a 5mm. If your brakes are working, well, if you think they just need a service, I was going to say working fine, but if they're working fine you won't think they need a service, so that was a bit daft. But if you want to service your brakes, this process will apply as well. So bolt off, whole arm comes off. I'm going to swap these pads over because the new brakes that I bought didn't come with a set of pads, so I'm going to swap them over. Release the cable before you take the arm off completely, because it's much easier to do it then than afterwards. The noodle, which is this bit, seems absolutely fine, so I don't think it's the problem with that that's caused it. I'm going to fit a new boot because this one's perished and cracked. So just using some car brake cleaner to clean all the old grease off these mounting points. There's a little bit of discolouring there, but nothing too bad. Forgot to mention, can you see? Let's bring you around a bit. There's 3 holes for the spring to go in. So there's a spring tang just there. That goes in one of those 3 holes. You can adjust the spring tension on the brakes. Try and make sure you got it in the same hole on both sides, because otherwise it will be really difficult to get the spring tension equal. So these are the new arms, just cleaning through on here. There's a bit of grease there. And put a tiny bit of fresh grease on these posts. So I'm putting these spring tangs in the middle hole. Make sure when they're tightened up they still move freely. Which they do. Time to refit the pads, shoes, whatever you want to call them. These ones aren't too bad, they're a little bit worn, but they've got some life left in them. When you're taking them off, just make sure you know which way around the spacers go. So thick spacer on this side, thin spacer on this side. Make sure they're the same both sides. And we're just going to fit them loosely at this stage. Okay, the next thing to do is to get the pads in the right position. So what I do is tend to just make sure they're lined up on the wheel, using the leading edge and the trailing edge as a reference. Make sure they're not so close that they're going to brush on the tyre when they're not on. So hold the lever like that. You might notice that the pad wants to twist a little bit, in which case once you've got the position you've got it a little bit tight. To do the final tightening you just have to hold it like that to stop it twisting. And then go back and check. Same on the other side. Okay, we can adjust a little bit more later. You can see the spring here is flapping in the breeze, so that needs to go around this pin on the back just there. Turn the bike around a bit. Like that. So I said I was going to put a new rubber piece on. There it is. I've gone for longer ones that were done more on before because they didn't actually protect the full run of cable. I'm just fitting this up roughly initially, and then it's a case of stretching this across, making sure that that's in properly up there, because if it's not, it will give you more slack, or not as much cable slack as you've actually got. Same with this down here. Okay, so clearly that's nothing like. Before you adjust this any further, just screw this adjuster all the way in, like that. So then it's a case of just slackening that off a little bit. Holding the arms clamped. Oh, ferrules come off the end. So I've actually overcooked that a little bit. That's too tight. Just let a bit back off. Now you can see at the moment only one side is releasing, and if you notice the adjustment screws there is screwed all the way in, whereas on this side it's halfway out, so that means that the spring tension on this side is much greater than the other side. So if we just slacken that off, now it's only the other side that's releasing, so slacken that one off as well. You can see they're still not both releasing by exactly the same amount. That's better. That's about right. Just give the wheel a spin to make sure it spins freely when the brakes are off, and then make sure that you've got enough reach on the lever. Give that a final tighten. If you find your lever's coming a bit close, what you can do is just screw this out slightly, and that's why we screwed it in all the way to start with, just to add a bit more tension. That's giving a better lever feel. You can see the wheel still spins. Those brakes are coming on a bit sooner, so I'm much more happy with that. So just one more thing to do here. I don't know whether you spotted, but the place where these cables wires are clamped is actually stopping this noodle going into the brake at the right angle. So hopefully removing that will help. That's much better. The wheel still spins freely. Just need to give these pads a final tighten up. So that's it. Hope this helped. Even if you didn't need to do this because of failure of a component, doing this from time to time can be really helpful, particularly if you've got that annoying thing where one pad is just dragging against the wheel and you're pedalling against friction, which is completely unnecessary because it's quite simple to adjust and makes for a much more satisfying experience. So thanks for watching.